of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I hereby call the meeting of the Fairfield Town Council to order. The first order of business is to swear in our new councilors. And if John Paciotti and Matt Townsend would please rise. Raise your right hand. John Paciotti and Matthew Townsend, the voters of the town of Fairfield have elected you to serve as town councilor to the town of Fairfield for a term of 3 years, and your term is set to expire December 31st, 2024. Do you both swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state so long as you continue a citizen thereof, so help you God?
I do.
And do you swear that you will faithfully discharge to the best of your abilities duties incumbent on you as town councilor according to the Constitution and laws of this state, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you would sign here. John, sign there, please. We'll get all your other signatures later. Thank you. All right. The next order of business is to accept nominations for a chair. Do I hear a nomination?
Yes, I'd like to nominate John Paciotti for chair.
Second. Are there any other nominations for chair? Seeing none, the nominations are now closed. Any discussion? All those in favor of John Paciotti as chair, please raise your hand. Abstain? Chairman Paciotti, would you like me to continue with vice chair and secretary?
Go right ahead.
Okay. The next order of business, I will accept nominations for a vice chair. Do I hear any nominations?
I would nominate Michael Taylor.
I'll second.
Are there any other nominations? Any discussion? All those in favor of Michael Taylor for vice chair, please raise your hand. Abstain?
Opposed?
Or opposed, yeah. Well, welcome back, Michael. The next order of business is to nominate a secretary. Do we have a nomination?
I'd like to nominate Mark Cooper.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any other nominations? All those in favor of Mark Cooper? Opposed or abstained?
It's a easy job.
Mr. Chairman, I hereby turn the gavel over to you. Welcome back.
With my schedule, I need that.
Stupid. All right, so we'll continue on to the first order of business. First order of business. Public announcements. Details may be found at www.fairfieldme.com. The town office and all non-emergency services will be closed on Monday, January 17th, in observance of the Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Number 2 is the 2019-2020 property tax lien foreclosure date is January 24th, and all taxes must be paid by 4:30 p.m. of that day. Second order of business, public hearings. There are none. Third order of business is public comments. This is limited to a 3-minute equivalent to public speaking. Members of the public may email comments for council at info@fairfieldme.com by 4 p.m. day of meeting on any topic or agenda item. Items may be read aloud at this time. Are there any items?
I didn't receive anything.
Nobody. Okay. Fourth order of business is reports from staff and committees. Town managers report.
Happy New Year, everybody. On December 10th, I attended a Maine Town City Managers Winter Training down in South Portland. The theme of this training was realizing inclusive communities in local government. So it was an all-day event that focused on diversity and inclusion opportunities and initiatives for communities to take part in. On December 20th, Public Works held a pre-construction meeting with Gregory's Disposal and their engineers and general contractor regarding the road construction for the extension of Industrial Drive. The CEO and I, code enforcement officer, and I were both also present for that discussion. They will be roughing in the road this winter and with actual construction to take place in the spring, so that project's moving forward. January 11th, which was yesterday, I hosted a meeting of the town managers in the region. Major topics of discussion were the up-and-coming OSHA rules on the 100-plus employer vaccination mandate and associated testing requirements. We are a 100-plus employer, just so that you are definitely aware, because it does include elected and appointed individuals as well. So with all our boards and committee members, we are over 100. We also discussed the difficulties of acquiring new employees for our various open positions, and we did an idea exchange on public meeting formats concerning COVID protocols. Our format won the day, just so you know. So it was really good. Communities that attended were Belgrade, Chelsea, Hallowell, Madison, Norridgewock, Oakland, Skowhegan, Vassboro, Waterville, and Winslow. This is the first time we've gotten together as a regional group since pre-COVID, so it was a really good meeting. And then also, so you're aware, Alyssa Patterson, the former children's librarian at the library, has officially stepped into the role of library director. Luella Bickford did retire at the end of December. Applications for the children's librarian position have been reviewed and interviews conducted, and I do believe an offer letter has been sent, and I think we are due to have a new employee start at the end of the month. And then also, as a general reminder, that Dirigo Engineering will be at your next council meeting on the 26th. They're at the top of the meeting to discuss the drinking water expansion report. If you do have any questions that you already know that you have questions, if you can email those to me so I can either get those answers for you or get them to Dirigo Engineering so they can work on getting those answers for you prior to the meeting, it'll just lend itself to a better conversation. And that's it for me. Everything else is throughout the rest of the evening.
Okay. Committee reports. Stephanie.
The Economic and Community Development Committee did not meet this month because we have some items under consideration as the council. So I thought it was putting the cart before the horse, and I had some qualms about meeting without having people legally being there. So we will meet again on February 1st at 3 o'clock, not 3:30. So it's going to be a little longer than normal, that meeting.
Any other committee reports that came up or showed up or anything? Okay, there being none, move on to the fifth order of business, which is our consent agenda. Now, these items are considered routine or standard business and therefore will be enacted by one motion. There are no separate discussions of these items unless a council member so requests prior to consideration of this portion of the agenda, in which event the item would be removed from the consent agenda and considered sequentially on the agenda. First, item 22-01 would be ordered that the Town of Fairfield Town Council hereby waives the reading of and accepts the minutes of the meeting for number 2021-19 held on December 8th, 2021. Item 2202, ordered that the Town Council hereby approves the Treasurer's Warrant number 41 General Fund in the amount of $561,516.59. Now, this is not limited, but including MSAD 49, MMEHT, Motor Vehicle, IFW, NE Salt, and Summit Natural Gas. Item 22-03, ordered that the Town Council hereby approves and signs the sewer certificate of commitment in the amount of $156,476.25 for the second quarter fiscal year sewer billing in the period of 10/1-2021 to 12/31/2021. I will look for a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Any questions, discussion, or anything? All in favor? Carries full. The sixth order of business is to take action on the following items of business as read by Council Chair. Item 2203, the annual organizational meeting business. The first on that is to set the dates, times, and locations of the town council meetings to be held in 2022. You all, I believe you were all issued a calendar that has all of the meetings and things like that, so I would look for a motion to accept this calendar as written. Yes, go ahead, Christine.
So date and times would be, you have published in several locations, second, fourth Wednesday of the month, 6:30 PM. And this is your opportunity. You can take it up later in the year, or you can take it up now and look at the calendar for any meetings you might want to adjust.
Yes, Stephanie.
I would like to ask to take a look at November, because it always ends up between elections and the holiday. We usually end up with only one meeting anyways.
Right.
So I would like to propose that we meet on November 16th only. It would be, I believe, 3 weeks from the October meeting, and then roughly 3 weeks until we meet again in December.
We can always call another meeting if necessary.
And if necessary, and usually we have to just sign the warrant at some point, but I'd
Right.
just as soon do it now rather than to fuss with it later. But that's my opinion. So I'd like to make a motion that we meet on November 16th
Cancel 9 and the 23rd.
and cancel the 9th and the 23rd.
Okay,
I'll second that.
we have a second. Any more discussion?
Right, so Stephanie.
Good idea.
Thank you.
All in favor? Carries full.
And just so you know, December doesn't fall like it usually does.
It's
Good.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Not at all.
Not even close, wow. All right,
So, other than that, I'd like to make a motion to now approve the whole calendar.
entire calendar.
Second.
And we have a second. Any more discussion? Any other?
Does this include the
Oh,
6:30?
I actually I just adjusted this for the second and fourth Wednesday of the month at 6:30 PM at the community center, with the following exception: meet November 16th only for the month of November.
Yep.
Yep.
So we don't need any more motions and seconds if you're ready for a vote.
Okay. All in favor? Carries full. Got it. All right, number 2. And you'll have to look at your attachment A and C, but appointments made by the town council. These are appointed positions, et cetera, all right? So the 2022 town council, municipal officials are town manager Michelle Llewellyn, public access officer Michelle, town attorney is William Lee, the GA Fair Hearing Authority seated council members, KRDA First Part General Assembly, Michelle Llewellyn, KRDA First Part General Assembly Thomas Munson, and the General Assembly alternate for that would be John Paciotti. Labor negotiations would be John Paciotti, Stephanie Thibodeau, and Michelle Llewellyn. Legislative Policy Committee would be Michelle Llewellyn, and Sustain Mid-Maine Coalition, would be Michelle Llewellyn. All right, yes, Stephanie.
In reading the asterisk after Michelle's name for the Legislative Policy Committee, could you explain that to Matt so that he understands what that is,
Sure.
please?
So the Legislative Policy Committee is a group run by Maine Municipal Association, and they weigh in on all of the legislative bills that are up for discussion at the State House when they're in session that would affect municipalities. So that's how MMA comes forth and does their lobbying on the municipality's behalf. This position was filled by Peter Lawrence, and this is just the remainder of that term. And it's one of those pieces where usually when they meet, it's like an all-day thing. So the reason why this is in here for discussion is I've put my name in here, but if any one of you want to do that and take that on, that's up to you too. I wasn't just presuming that you would just appoint me.
When do they meet?
We don't know.
From month to month?
It
Because they have-
depends. It depends on how many bills they have. So
Oh.
the reason why I kind of stuck my name in there was that I know I can make the flexibility with my day because it just becomes part of my job, as opposed to they could meet one day, they could meet 2 days, they could meet back-to-back days. It does require the ability to be a bit flexible with that.
So does one person sit there and listen to everything? Or do
So
you-
basically, it's the representation from all over the state that goes in and then meets, and they have conversations back and forth. They've been meeting via Zoom. They used to go to MMA and actually meet in person and discuss all of the bills that are in front of them. Could be 50, could be 250, and go through all of that and weigh in. Sometimes you have stuff to say, sometimes you don't. All depends.
Thank you for the clarification.
I've never gone to the committee, I just know about it.
I know.
I've never been on it.
Yeah. Matt, you think you'd like to do something like that?
Sounds like a barrel of laughs.
Because it takes place during the day, and John, you and me basically are the retired people.
But my schedule's variable, so it's possible.
So,
Either way, they're chomping at the bit because they're looking to meet sometime within the next couple of weeks. They've messaged me 3 times since
Waiting
your last
for
meeting in
somebody?
December, because they're looking to see, because basically what they'll do is if we don't put somebody on it, they will fill it from a different community.
okay, are they Zooming still?
I don't know at this point whether they're going to be Zooming or me. My guess is they may Zoom, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Could not.
There's no reason why I can't do it, but I don't want to take it away from anybody else who wants to do it. John?
No.
Mike, would you
I
like?
definitely don't want to do it.
John, do you want to do it?
No.
You're still driving school bus.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Put my name down there. Yes, Christine.
So one of the reasons Michelle threw her hat into the ring is because part of our job is we're constantly being provided with all the legislative updates and what's on the docket, and we're in and out of the statutes all day long. You would have to remember the council code of conduct, and as you so aptly picked up on, that you can't make decisions on behalf of the town or the council without the approval of the council, whereas the manager you have already hired for exactly this type of duty. A lot of the municipalities that participate are municipalities that don't have a town manager, where the selectmen, so just food for thought, I'm not trying to discourage you.
But that, you know, I
But
don't want to
I know that Michelle threw her hat in the ring, and she's incredibly capable.
But I don't know if it's just as, what do you want? Do you want to do it?
Makes no never mind to me.
It
I can easily do it. And the reason why I think doing it would be helpful is because of the fact that I thoroughly understand these legislative bills and the impact that they have to the municipality on
Right.
almost every single level. So it makes sense that it would be me, but I don't, I'm not gonna blow smoke about myself, so.
Well, this is how I look at life. You're either a participant in the parade, or you're watching along on the sidewalks. If I were on this committee, I would be on the sidewalks, not participating in the parade.
I could be.
And that's because of my background. So I think you would be the most valuable person to be there, to advocate for the town. You're welcome. Therefore, I will not be put on it.
Well, there's quite a bit of that, like this afternoon, because I'm on the Chamber of Commerce Public Policy Committee, and that's what the public policy did. We sat there and went over bills that, affected the community, and made decisions of either to accept and recommend the proposals or unrecommend them.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's, they do have all of that. Now, what effect that has in the legislature itself is really kind of secondhand. I really am not alive with whether the legislatures really accept any of the
I don't know. I know Kate
recommendations or not.
Kate Dufour is the employee at Maine Municipal Association that goes and speaks at the State House and
That would be
follows these all.
that would be the lobbyist.
Yes, quite frequently. She has a different title, and it's not called lobbyist, but
Yeah, that's what
I
it
can't
is.
remember what it is.
Yeah.
And she's the one that speaks, and I think it holds a little bit of weight, but I think it all
When
depends on what the
when
bill is.
something's really tight, it'll hold weight, but if
Yeah.
it's not, it doesn't. Okay.
I'm all set with that section.
All right, then we'll move on to boards and committees. Board of Appeals voter registration, it's a 3-year term. Greg Lambert.
He's the incumbent, and he's Republican, and that's the opening that I have.
Okay. Board of Assessment Review, Jeffrey Neubauer and Isaac Laws. Isaac Laws is a 1-year term. Jeffrey Neubauer is a 3-year term. Isaac is a new applicant.
Jeffrey would be the incumbent, and he did say that because that board rarely meets, he would like to continue forward. Isaac Laws, he has not registered to vote, but we were able to find his vehicle registration. He can easily follow up with my office.
Okay.
He did serve on another board, I believe it was Waterville, so hence why he applied for ours.
Okay. All right, Budget Committee, 3-year term, Zachary Golder. Budget Committee, 3-year term, Jeffrey Neubauer. Budget 3-year term, Heather Drew Clark, who would be a new appointee, and Jeffrey Neubauer would be a new appointee. And Budget Committee, 1-year term, Peter Lawrence.
And Peter would be new on the Budget Committee. That
Yeah, I was
should
going
have
to
been
say,
asterisk
that
as
would be
well.
another,
Yeah,
yeah,
he
be
should
another
be.
asterisk.
My apologies. Both Jeff Neubauer and Peter Lawrence are former counselors that have been through the budget process. Jeff Neubauer did say that he had Saturdays free in February.
So you had a few people who did not want to return on the Budget Committee.
Yes.
And then Jeff Marshall's term was up, correct?
Correct, and he didn't
And
want to
he-
move forward.
Chose not to return.
Obviously.
But also, Al Hodgson is not going to be able to participate this year. That's what
Right.
his remaining, that's the 1-year remaining term. That's there. And then, and you can, Zach Golder is your only existing committee member that is coming back, and his 3-year term was up. But you
Okay.
could put Jeffrey, Heather, and Peter in any one of those 2, 3-year, or 1-year. So it's
Yeah.
just in there in the line.
All right, Land Use Board of Appeals.
Oh, economic.
Skipped economic development.
Oh, I'm sorry, economic. Yeah, I guess I did.
John.
Yeah, right over the top. Economic, who needs that? All right, Economic and Community Development, 3-year term. Mark Hume, 3-year term. Peter Lawrence, 3-year term. Stephanie Thibodeau. A 2-year term, Timothy Forsman, that would be a new appointment. And a 2-year term, Matthew Townsend. And that would be a new appointment.
Okay, so we've talked on the committee about going to 7, and should we put in 2 extra seats at this point, or wait?
You still have existing members.
You have existing members.
We have existing members.
These are the openings.
And
Okay.
they still don't have 7.
And we still don't have 7.
I think we only have 6.
I actually went back and looked, and when I was on the spreadsheet, and let's see.
Because
All
the
right.
only other members we have at this point are Mark Hume and Dwayne Bickford.
Well, Mark's.
You got Joe Rowden.
Mark's list.
Oh, and Joe Rowden.
And
Yeah.
I had missed in the count, so you've got Joe Rowden, Mark Hume.
Oh, so we are exactly at 7.
And yes,
Yeah.
and I meant to have that conversation. Also, I would note that on list C, You'll see that I took care of, so for the 3 individuals that have not been participating, per the town charter, failure to attend a minimum of 75% of the meetings of a board or committee is cause for removal.
Yeah.
So I have designated the people that haven't been able to make these meetings as removed. And so you'll see that on list C, and they each have the double asterisks. So unless there are edits to this, that would be adopted as we move further on this.
Right.
I will make notes of any edits that you folks may decide as we go through this.
All right, so, for the sake of clarity then, for the appointments, as for Joe Rowden and Dwayne Bickford, they were not up for renewal.
Correct.
So I'm okay with it written as it is for the 5 people on the Economic and Community Development Committee. John?
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
Moving on to the Land Use Board of Appeals. 5-year term, Greg Lambert. 5-year term, Veronique Carrier. And a 1-year term, we didn't have any applicants. It's still vacant.
Correct. So this was as a result, as you know, Bruce Harrington was on many boards and committees, and his resignation left a
Right.
lot of holes. So we weren't able to procure any applicants for the alt, and Veronique being the senior alt, because of this hierarchy follows the planning board hierarchy. So she would move up into the regular position, and that leaves the vacancy on the alt. So we will continue to seek applicants.
Seek
but-
an applicant for an alternate.
Correct.
Yeah.
And if anybody's listening out in TV land, the alternate takes the place of somebody who can't make one of the meetings, right?
Correct.
And they attend, they just don't vote
They just don't vote, okay.
unless a regular position is missing, and then
Okay.
they vote. They want to make sure they have the ability to attend whatever group that they're an alternate on in order to, because oftentimes, like the planning board or the land use board of appeals, their discussions could last for more than one meeting. So you need to know when you're going to take you have to be involved enough so to know what you're voting on.
Right.
I don't know as if the land use board of appeals has ever even met since I've been here. They don't meet very often.
Why would they meet?
Well, it's a type of a thing, going back into the early 80s, I was on the Land Use Board of Appeals, and what it is you come up into instances where, like on Main Street, we had at one time, there was, well, actually, it's a business right now, but it was a garage, and they wanted to convert it into an apartment. And obviously, and that had to be approved by the Land Use Board of Appeals. You know, just things like that. It's just,
Something that's in
you know,
conflict with our current land use ordinance.
Right.
So if they make a decision based upon what's in our land use ordinance and somebody doesn't believe the interpretation was the same, or they wanted to appeal it.
All right, moving on then to the Planning Board. Now, this is a 5-year term, Perry Waltz. Alternate 4-year term, David Fernald. And an alternate 2-year term, Peter Lawrence. Fernald and Lawrence are both new applicants.
So David Fernald was someone that the code enforcement officer was able to connect with, that is qualified and able to perform the duties on that board. Perry Waltz went into the 5-year term again as through the hierarchy of how that particular board works.
Okay.
The 2-year term, they were trying to seek a qualified applicant for the 2-year term, a person that can read the statutes, read the plans, and Michelle, maybe you can elaborate a little bit more than I can on that.
I believe Mr. Fernald has a construction background.
That's what he
Correct.
said on his application.
Yeah. But you can flip either one of those back or forth.
Yeah.
And you're allowed to leave a vacancy if you wish. The code enforcement officer was seeking candidates as late as last week.
Okay.
So Mr. Fernald is working for a large engineering firm as an inspector and involved in real estate. So when we look at C, where Jeff Marshall is a resignation, do we have to put somebody into that position?
Yes. I mean, that's a vacancy that needs to be filled.
And the 4-year was a vacancy that was created prior to all of this, again, when we had vacancies that took place last fall.
Okay,
That carried over.
all right.
And I just didn't have those in the proper order because I was out, and I apologize for not cleaning that line item up.
Okay.
Okay. We'll move on to B, 2022 town manager appointments to be confirmed by the town.
That's actually a separate action item.
But we still have the back to look at.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm
No,
looking at.
That's next.
That is the back.
B is after you do these.
Yep.
You have to do A and C.
Yeah, A and C.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
We're going to fix that lettering for next year.
Yeah,
I
we
was
are.
gonna say
It's
that
evolved every
lettering.
year. It evolves every year.
All right, so we don't need to act on the planning board for now to put somebody in for the
Well, so
Jeff
what-
Marshall
So
resignation?
what you've done in the past is you've adopted these lists as submitted, and so you don't have to do every single individual appointment.
Right.
So if you want to make an adjustment, you need to make a specific adjustment to exactly what's on the list. I mean, and you don't have to appoint
Okay.
any of these,
Yeah.
but it's recommended that you do.
So David Fernell was recommended by the code enforcement officer.
Well,
Is there an updated one of the, oh,
on Part C, the only thing that needs to be corrected is we need to add in Joe Rowden and Dwayne Bickford. No?
They are in this main spreadsheet. This is for for changes. Joe Rowden doesn't have a change this year. This is
Are
for,
we looking at C?
yep, looking at C.
Because I
That's
don't
not
have
Mark.
Joe Rowden's term wasn't up, so he's not on
It's
that.
not.
Oh, so that's,
Anybody who
list-
has an existing term that carried beyond
This would be
this
several
meeting.
pages. This would be several pages.
all right,
if
all right.
we
So
had
that's,
every
they're
single
there
person.
somewhere in print, but this here, I've got
This
it
is
now.
just your new appointments for
All
the
right.
vacancies.
So, then,
the Fair Hearing Authority, might want to make a little change to that.
Why?
Because it still lists Peter Lawrence's,
Oh, sorry.
oh, because it lists current,
It says,
and you would need to change it, that's why. She's listing the current members. On C,
oh, I gotcha.
see that?
Yep.
yep.
Yeah, I'll correct that. Yep, I'll make that housekeeping change. Thank you. That's just my mistake.
I should have caught that.
It's a big document. It's a massive spreadsheet.
Give yourself a couple more weeks, you'll be able to find your name in anything.
And then the Legislative Policy Committee,
That's,
looking for
it's current member, and then who you would replace it
Current.
with.
current, and there's nobody current because
Well,
Well, he technically was a current appointment.
as of December 31st.
but the term for that seat expires 6/30, so we have to take it up and replace that seat.
But I
now
see
that
what
he's-
you mean as to how that's, he's technically appointed, so he's not necessarily a vacancy until you say he's a vacancy. But, gotcha.
Technically, he's vacant.
He's vacant.
Maybe there's better words I can use.
Yeah, maybe it's
I'll just
vacant.
previous.
Yeah, maybe that'll work.
So, yeah, we can't.
Previous member, not current member.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
I'll
I'll
fix
make-
that.
I'll
I'll
update-
clarify that right up.
Yeah, I'll update the memo for that. And I will make a clean copy for the record.
Adopted as amended.
What's the amendment?
The-
Oh, the C, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the current.
So you're making the motion?
Current as opposed to
Okay.
previous. Previous as opposed to current.
Are you going to declare any vacancies?
Is this for the Economic Committee? Since we
Planning
want-
board.
Planning.
Well, you have one person that code enforcement is recommending, well, two people, Perry Waltz and David Fernald is the recommendation. She was still seeking qualified applicants.
I think at this point, you probably should not turn down anybody who's interested in anything based upon vacancies.
I agree. Of looking at all,
Because there's clearly, if you've noticed, no competition for any
No.
of these positions.
Right.
Nope, absolutely.
And if folks have decided that they want to volunteer, it'll be good.
Yeah.
People can always decide if they don't like a committee, that they do not have to stay.
They can resign, that's correct.
that's right. So I think I agree, anybody who is interested and wants to commit to 75% of the time being on a committee, then yes. Are you making a, no.
Not 80%?
According to the council policy, it's 70%
75%.
commitment for participation.
74, you're out the door.
I'm not going to do the math. So, are you making a motion to accept this as amended? You had started.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. So,
And to include new applicants or replacements of resigned or vacated seats as listed on section C.
this is for list A and C.
A and B.
A and C.
A and C.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll second that.
All right,
as
seconded by
presented to
Thibodeau.
council, as amended,
Excellent.
per changes.
That's A and C.
As
In the
amended.
year of our Lord.
It's enough words.
For now?
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Whatever you said.
Carries full.
All right.
You're just going to
Thank
agree
you,
with it?
everybody.
All right. Now we will flip it over to 2022 town manager appointments to be confirmed by the council.
And I just want to note how much shorter this list is than it has been in years past,
Yes, it is.
since we have changed it so that every single employee's position did not expire annually, and now their appointment stays for the term of their employment. It makes life a lot easier.
With the exceptions of the appointments
Of
that are
those
in.
that have to be done by
Yeah.
law annually.
Yeah, or biannually. So there's a couple that's even years, and we got a 5-year, a couple 5-year.
All right, I'll move it on. Building inspector, which is annually by statute, Nicole Martin. Code enforcement officer, annually by statute, Nicole Martin. Plumbing inspector, annually by statute, Nicole Martin. And tax assessor, annual contract, RGD appraisal. Lawrence Public Library, library director, Alyssa Patterson.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor? Carries full. Okay.
Thank you for all the suggestions, everybody. I will make those corrections.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, so we have finished 2203, sixth order of business. Now we move to the seventh order of business, council workshop and other business. First on the agenda is discuss elected officials, municipal and state protocols, and annual reminders.
And you received that memo in your packet.
We made the updates that were recommended when it was discussed at the end of 2021.
Looks like this. It says memorandum up in the corner.
Not that we don't have
Oh,
any
yeah.
paperwork.
Memo?
Yes, and we added the Fairfield comprehensive plan to it.
Yes. Yeah, it's got oath of office, which was done, town charter, council, administration, municipal officers manual, Robert's Rules of Order, executive session motion citations and statutes, public notices, no secret ballots, voting by secret paper is prohibited in open council meetings. Excuse me. Council meeting procedure brochure, flag protocol. And then it's got coordinated with human resources. Let's see. Required whatever. I mean, do we have to go over this whole thing here, or just?
It's up to you. I mean, it's a standard document. You have it every single year. It
Right.
basically just tells you, it tells all our other municipal officials exactly what they need to do should they need something. So like if you're a member of the planning board and you found out about a training, it tells you, you coordinate with the human resources director to set up that training. Lets people know, like, so the required records retention and 6-year disposition schedule. A lot of people don't think about the fact that when they get a document at a meeting, that maybe somebody needs to keep it for a length of time, and you need to make sure that there's original on file somewhere, and those sorts of things. It reminds people about emails and not using emails for, meetings and discussions, and because they can become illegal meetings and those sorts of things. Talks about confidential records, executive sessions, and confidential communications. Reminds people that we don't discuss personnel matters and labor negotiations in public, and other miscellaneous, could be legal pieces with the fire department or police, not the fire department, the police department. Council meeting and agenda development, how that all works and goes through, and then the agenda topic requests and how people can request that things be placed on the agenda, so.
Questions, discussions from anybody?
This just makes sure that this document doesn't go in a file cabinet somewhere and gets all dusty, and makes
Right.
us take it out and look at it every single year. Good. And sometimes it needs to be changed. I don't think anything's come up this year. We covered it really well last year when we went over it.
Yeah, and we added from, what, like Stephanie just said, the comprehensive plan into the list of documents. Any other updates?
No, looks good to me.
Okay, moving down to the second is the code of conduct.
May I, John?
Yes.
At the last meeting, I thought it needed to be addressed, and so I was given the charge of taking a look at it. And on the tables today, you received, it was my email to Michelle and Christine about my suggestions for changes. So you'll see the email, but then again, right after it, you're going to see the code of conduct with the suggested changes.
So I got this at 4:20, so your red line version is just a paper copy this evening.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, so there was just 4 areas that I thought needed to be looked at. And the first one was under I will be responsible. And part of this is because of what has happened this year with the Economic and Community Development Committee. I will attend scheduled board meetings, whether in person or as a hybrid meeting, which is now being done consistently throughout the state, I believe, or notify the staff of my inability to attend, realizing that the town charter requires 75% attendance of my commitment to the board. That language to me is more inclusive compared to what was there beforehand. And it's good to know that there is a number and that attendance is required 75% of the time. The second change, if you look at bullets 5 and 6, under I will be responsible, they are redundant, and I am recommending eliminating number 5. It's the same language, only number
Oh,
6
yeah.
is a little longer.
Yeah.
It almost looks like we made an addition to that line and forgot to
And
delete
forgot to
the
delete
first one.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and then the third change is for bullets 8 and 9, which are also redundant. And I would recommend combining them so that it will read, "I will not represent the board at any meetings or in correspondence as through social media without express permission of the board." And this is something that we're often reminded of.
It's a good idea.
Especially in our emails and replying to all.
Should that say "or through social media"? Instead of "as through," it should say "or through." Am I
Will
reading
not
that?
represent the board at any meetings or in correspondence as through,
Or through social media, because you want it,
yes, you can change that.
As in
Or,
or through.
or,
okay, thank you.
or in correspondence or through social media. Yeah, the through needs to stay. Then the last suggestion I have is for the last bullet in that category. And I am recommending that it say, "I will be mindful of any meeting, whether in person or in social media, that will constitute a quorum of the membership of the board." And again, that's something that we're always reminded of, and being careful of not to have 3, which would be quorum. So those were the only changes. And I also went online, just so you know, and I looked up other codes of conducts for other municipalities. And I remember back 6 years ago, 7 years ago, my first stint on the council, and when we went and took a look at this, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it a multi-page document?
Yes, so at the time, we had an attorney on the board, and it was a very massive document.
Yeah, and so this really-
It took a lot for me to squish it onto one page.
Yeah, because everything you look at online is a book version.
And this goes on the backside of the oath, so the oaths that we did earlier this evening, anybody that's sworn in as an appointee or an elected official,
Yeah.
it goes on the backside, and everybody has to sign that, and then they receive a copy of it.
So anyways, I'm recommending these. It's up for discussion, and we don't make a motion, but
No,
I would put it on next agenda for an action item,
Please
if
do.
that's, if you like the
Yeah, so
edits.
all of the stuff that you're discussing tonight will all be either, most of it, I would think, if you're agreeable with what it is tonight, we can put this all on a consent agenda item for
Right.
your next meeting, so you can just
Exactly.
do it all in one.
all in one shot.
Yep.
Yeah,
yeah.
Thanks for your time, Stephanie.
Thank you, Matt.
okay. Number 3, discuss council meeting procedure brochure.
I think you've done a very nice job with it, Christine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would update the members of council information, but if you have other edits for me to look at, I'm happy
Yeah.
to take care of that for you.
Thank you.
It still serves as a really good document. I'm glad we created this.
I was fortunate, we had something come through the listserv, and it was like, oh, Michelle and I brainstormed. We had a lot of fun with it when we created it. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, as much fun as you can have creating a brochure, but
Well,
it was good stuff.
but like everything else, everything's evolving and changing, so if there's updates or edits, by all
Right.
means,
No,
share any thoughts or ideas that you have.
I'm fine.
Otherwise, I will just update the board members, and I don't think we'll need an action item for that, for just the housekeeping.
Right. Okay. And we can move on to the 4th, which is town council goals and standards for 2022. Find all of that stuff. Hello.
Somebody doesn't know I'm in a meeting.
All right. Anything on there that anybody has? The one thing that I do have as a goal that I circled actually was to collaborate with MSAD 49 School Board, which they've never really been
Receptive to?
over-receptive to collaborate with.
What number was that, John?
That was number 5 on standard number 2.
But there could be opportunities that come about, and in the near future, I hope we'll have a way that we can collaborate on Cattail Trail.
Yeah.
That would be an example. I think it's important to put it in there because,
Oh, I think it's very important
the
in there.
school district is still so much part of our budget, and it's our identity as a town with the Lawrence Bulldogs.
Unless there is some entity that intervenes from way above to change the current philosophy and thinking of the school board, yeah, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
But if it did change, wouldn't it be a nice goal to be able to check off?
It'd be a nice goal to sit down and at least talk with them.
Winning the lottery would be a nice
Exchange
goal too, but I
ideas,
don't see that happening either, so.
Well, there is existing collaboration that does take place with the purchasing agreements and fuel.
We have the snow plowing contract that we have with them.
Right.
We do purchase,
Yeah,
We
and we have the
will-
Crawford
we
Fund.
worked all that off.
That we work with them
Yeah.
on, and
which I just got
Well, we
last
didn't work
year's
with the school
updates.
board on that. We worked with the individual teachers.
right, but it still goes through the school board because they're the governing body.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I just got the code.
Okay, if you go to the second page, which is standard number 4, there was on the number 2, progress. It's the ordinance updates. It's an amendment extending the commercial use zone along US Route 201 for marijuana dispensary licensing fee structure. Additions, fire protection and prevention ordinance, fee updates, tax assessment ordinance updates, as recommended by the town attorney for quorum.
right. Didn't we also do Route 139, 104?
We discussed it and it didn't get approved.
Okay, that's what it was.
It was one of those pieces where the planning board's recommendation was that we start with 201.
Yeah.
And then look at that afterwards. And shortly after that happened was when the PFAS issue was brought about. So there hasn't been any.
Kind of died after
Any
that.
major commercial
Right.
development up 201 because the
Right.
open space that you have for most of it isn't currently served by public water, so. However, your plan for the public drinking water expansion does include, because that's now a commercial zone, the expansion of fire protection as well, so it would provide hydrants as well as water up that corridor, so.
Right. And then if we move on to the number 8, which is economic development, 32421 Mill Island Park, resolution for preservation and improvement, 42821 waterfront survey completed, waterfront plan, and funding forthcoming.
Yep.
That was, which is something on your committee.
So when I wrote this is just a draft, if there's more to add or to take away.
Right.
I just went through the past year and all of your packets and looked at items that were taken up. This is all subject for review to be edited before your next meeting for adoption.
Yeah, under the economic development part, the funding part, we did receive 5,000 from Garvin's. Was that 5?
Or was it 5 or was it 2? I don't know, but I can put that in there.
Yeah, so for that, and we are pursuing more funding.
Yep.
So I don't think we need the question mark and the parentheses there. But its funding is ongoing.
Right. Now, this one, number 10, I think it's already been installed, if I'm not,
Yes, it
the
looks very
U.S. Cellular
nice.
Tower and Industrial Drive with the lease agreement updated and income realized.
We're receiving a check every single month.
All right, so we,
I think the only thing left for
Don't
them
need
is
that in there.
to hook the power up.
You know, on TV, there's a commercial for US Cellular where they put the Christmas lights
Yeah, I
up,
see
and the
that.
whole the neighborhood goes out to watch it light up for the first time.
Right.
I have a dream. I think that would be so neat.
Well,
But anyway,
it would be good if they turned the tower on so we could get some service.
Service, yeah.
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 I think they're just, it's fiber optic connections is what they're working on right now. So
that what it
we've
is?
watched them all the way at the top of the tower, and they're
Yeah.
to put all those strings together.
Definitely, that'd be a great community event.
I know.
Bring in the Lawrence Band for some Christmas music, set up
Yeah.
chocolate,
That's
you know.
my dream.
You know, maybe set up an ice skating rink this minute. I mean, you could do so much there.
I know, there used to be an ice,
I'd say that was where our ice skating rink was.
yeah.
And that's where the funds from US Cellular is going. 50% of their
Yeah.
monthly lease is to go towards purchasing a new ice skating rink, which the town of Eddington just put one in, and I've reached out to them to find out where they got theirs, because it's just like one that I'm looking at, so.
Yeah.
You want me to add that in there? 50% of, 50% of funds received
We have
will
to have an
be
ice
applied
skating
towards the updated skating rink?
Yeah.
My God,
Yeah, you
And
can.
that's
I've got a
what
Zamboni
Council
and
voted on it a
nothing to
long
use
time
it
ago.
on.
When they did the lease.
I didn't even think of adding that
They're
into this
Yeah,
little
that should
update.
probably go in there.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Economic Committee should probably address that.
For millions.
Michelle. So,
And then number 11, which is housing. And that's the discontinuance of the 2006 Town of Fairfield Affordable Housing Development District program, WHA, and Mountain Avenue, Fairfield, and adoption of a 2021 Town of Fairfield, Maine Affordable Housing Development District and Development Program for Mountain Avenue. Also, nomination approved for Maine and National Register of Historical Places. So that's good. Then number 15, national boat races successfully held and may return supporting local economy. That was something that we talked about at the, that was some, from Mill Island, we had talked about that, or up at Hinckley at the.
yeah, it was
at the
neat
dam.
watching those.
Yeah.
They're speedboats, and they had a track, and it was very well laid out.
Yeah.
And we were there on the party boat watching them for
They've already,
most of the afternoon.
they've already asked to come back for this.
Really?
Have
Now-
they? Excellent.
Yeah, now, how does...
That's a good economic.
It is, and plus, we have that man that's going to be building on land near the boat
Maine
landing.
Hudson Trails.
Maine
looking to do
Hudson-
the boathouse, but that's, yeah, it wasn't something to include in this, because that
Okay.
hasn't come to fruition yet.
But again, it's community recreation.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll have more to deal with that, as well as the state's rail trail that they're putting in from Oakland to Emden. So those will be things that hopefully you can use as updates in your next year's goals.
Right.
And
Exciting.
hopefully that
Yeah.
will come this summer.
And then I think this was the comprehensive plan review, which is finalized the review of goals.
Yep.
You've done that. A remote meeting policy implementation. Number 21, the PFAS water contamination. RFQ for the extension of public drinking water. That's going to be a big one. Although I've noticed now, all of a sudden on television, if you've noticed in the last couple of weeks, there's been some, all over the state, all of a sudden PFAS is becoming a situation.
Well, the state with their funding has finally expanded their testing to their Tier 1 locations. I believe there's 15 of them, and they've
Yeah.
started that. Yeah.
Well, I noticed, I missed most of it, but I did pick up a little bit, was the, somebody is suing Sappy.
That's the federal court case.
Is that the federal?
It was
Yeah.
in the news today and yesterday. And it was interesting to know why it's gone to the federal courts. And that's because you're dealing with multi-state companies.
Yeah.
And that holds them more liable, I guess, so. But, Michelle, I was wondering, do you have a number on how many homes in Fairfield were identified? Our Dirigo Engineering had said 480, And I didn't know if it had gone up from that.
Well, they had the most recent data that they had received from DEP when they created the report, which is how many had been tested and then how many were contaminated. I do not. Since the town stopped assisting DEP with their water distribution, we have not had one communication from them whatsoever. So I'm in hopes by your next meeting, I will receive a full update that I have requested. So.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and then there's a bunch more on there, 22, installation of security systems at the community center, replacement of library flooring, which is actually, I think, has taken place anyway.
Yeah,
That
you don't
happened.
need the question mark.
Right.
Question mark?
Proposed Shawmut Dam removal, you know. Moving on that one, upgrade to fire department and police department buildings. Acquisition of 3 vehicles, installation of charging stations, railroad bed trail access that we've been talking about. Groundbreaking and funding for the fire training facility, which has been done. And grant program, special projects, CBDG grant, and SECD broadband feasibility studies.
And the question marks for the fund, all of this funding, the question marks were, so I prepared this document before I was out sick, and I did not have the chance to connect with Michelle to get some of the final details, so, but we'll have a little bit more information, and sometimes Michelle breaks out all that funding separately and grant money, so I wasn't sure. I just wanted to have a placeholder there for you folks to see that there's the whole topic, not just a fragment.
And we're working on that compilation of the grants from all across the departments. I was working on it right before your meeting, actually, so you'll have that.
And we also had approved on the Economic Committee 3, there was for the facade grants,
Oh, yeah, we should probably.
we should put those in there under the economic development part.
Okay.
What number
The
was that
last
one,
year?
Stephanie?
There was Sunset, there was,
Actually,
we did Sunset.
Yeah, we did.
but did we approve them last year, or did they do the work last year? I'll double check, but I'll include any facade and
Okay.
marketing grants that we
Yeah.
did.
Yep.
Because I think the only one that we did last year was the one on the corner of Cottage and Main Street.
The garage.
The garage. I think that's the only one we did last year.
Well, we also looked at another one, but made
But it didn't,
referrals.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, but I can definitely include that.
Yep.
And I'm in that document, Michelle, I've highlighted it, so you can go right straight to the folder if you'd like.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay,
You're welcome.
moving to town administrative policy and fee schedule, which you all have in your hands. Lots and lots and lots. If your eyes are good.
Just bear in mind that once all edits are taking place, that the page numbering will actually change, but for intents and purposes of, it's auto page numbered, but that those are actually going to change once the document has been accepted.
So this is the policy and the fee schedule. So updates for the policy is page 10. It's the first one, and that's where it lists out that ECDC is hereby established to be comprised of not less than 7 members who are appointed by the town council at the annual organizational meeting to staggered 3-year terms. So that's where the recommendation from the committee would be put into play.
And to go with that piece, Stephanie had her memo, and on the back, we put anything from the town charter, town council policy, and the website vernacular.
Yeah.
It was on the back of that memo, so that you could see what's existing, and this is what's being proposed.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's like on the website that it's not less than 6, but it didn't exist anywhere else, and you want an odd number for that committee.
Yep.
Next one is page 13. And this is just a update to adopt a current practice that we already have. It's just to ensure that it references the state law that allows us to do it, which is the ability not to count every single write-in, every
Right.
Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, all that, as long as there's people on the ballot.
Yeah, yeah, that recent legislation made clearer definitions, but it does have to be, there has to be a public hearing, and it does have to be adopted, so
We'll
everyone,
have to have if you're fine with it, we'll have to have a public hearing at your next meeting in order to adopt that.
Okay.
But as opposed to it being its own standalone ordinance, it seemed better to put it actually as part of your policy. It's where all the
Right.
election stuff lives.
Yep.
Okay, so pages 42 through 45.
community center.
And this is just pulling out the kitchen, the stove access at this point. If we get a new stove, we can put it back in.
Yeah.
Removing the fees, as we have done with all things, so that our fees live in one place.
Oh, and it permits for cleaning fees to be
Oh, yes.
assessed with
Yes,
the
yes,
new
yes.
COVID protocols.
So, one of the things we had to do was we had to shut the community center down because we couldn't afford to clean it after every single time that somebody rented it.
Right.
And that was a big problem that we had.
Yep.
So, we realized that the cleaning folks were here on a regular basis, 2 days a week, at 2 different times a week. So what we did is we rented it out so that you could rent it once on the weekend and once during the week, as long as it was between the 2 times the cleaners were already scheduled to come in. Well, we had a lot of folks that said, well, what if I paid an extra cleaning fee? Well, nobody at the office has the right to set fees. It's only the council that can do that. So we were like, well, we'll have to wait, and we'll include it in this. But one of the things that we've done is PAL wanted to use the facility for basketball over the course of the last 2 months, and we would not allow them in here unless they actually had it cleaned afterwards, every single time that it was used. We didn't care who they used, we didn't care who they paid, what they did, but they had to guarantee us that it was cleaned. We needed to know if they were hiring a cleaner, who it was, but we didn't charge them anything. And what they ended up doing is actually contracting with the cleaner that we have for this facility and paid her direct to clean this in between the usages. Because when you have that many kids and parents in here with COVID protocols, we just couldn't allow it not to be cleaned from one Saturday to another. And they were really good. There weren't a lot of parents hanging out. Most of them were on the stage. The couple of times I've seen them things, but the original piece was that the parents were not, they were supposed to drop their kids and leave. They were not supposed to stay. But we did it, and it seems like it worked out fine. I think the only thing we have to show for it really is a couple of lost and found items on the table out front, but
Yeah.
it would enable these kids to have a program which they didn't have last year, so.
So do we need to approve a fee for cleaning?
It was set up to be,
The town's cleaning vendor's rate per hour. So it may be that it may cost a very different amount to have the room cleaned on a Tuesday after a meeting in the conference room as opposed to an all-day party in the gymnasium on a Saturday. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So this just allows us to do that. It doesn't necessarily mean that somebody would have to use our cleaner. It may not even come into play, but it does allow us to make that option. Because that's what a lot of people asked. We'll pay for the extra cleaning if we can use it.
Right.
So it's like, well, we just don't.
Yep.
And then,
Well, you ought to get a quote, because most people are going to say, well, what's...
oh, yes, and we have that,
have-
actually. We already have that. We got that for them, so that we had that.
Oh, okay, so we have...
Yeah, so our cleaner has, what they have to do is they end up, she has like an hourly rate, and they have to find out exactly what the vent is, and we contact her for her availability if she was to be able to clean. That's what we first did the first time with PAL. So we worked it out that if this is what we were gonna do, we contact our cleaner if they're available, and what is going on so that she knows how much work is going to need to be cleaned. You know, so do the floors need to be buffed afterwards, or do we just need to mop it down? And then they will come back with a rate, and then that individual will figure out whether or not that's what they want to pay or not. Or they can get another cleaner and just let us know who it is and provide us with their insurance. They just can't use our floor buffer, that's all. So bring your own stuff.
Okay. And the trash ticket that's mentioned down there, is that for Pine Tree out on the airport road? That $2, or does that go with the, that's the fee
Waste
schedule?
management on,
Waste
yes,
management.
out Norwalk.
Norwalk, okay.
Let's see, what was the next change? The next change is 47, page 47. We have inconsistencies in our two ordinances, and this is probably going to generate a bit of discussion. So we have a public safety ordinance that says that you're not allowed to discharge a firearm on town property. But yet we have people who have hunted at the town farm for a very long time. So it's either A, we need to do the public safety ordinance to exempt the town farm, or B, put in here for the town farm that they have to follow the public safety ordinance and state statutes. And this has come up several times, actually, over the last few years, where people call and they want to know, can I go hunting? Can I put up a tree stand? Can I do this? Can I do that? Well, it ended up getting narrowed down to the fact that no, because you're not allowed to discharge firearm on town property. And they were told no. But it was creating quite a bit of activity. I don't know how big of a deal it is, but I've gathered over the years that there's a few. But there were people that wanted to do baiting bear was one of the other things. And they were baiting bear up there. And we were kind of like, no. Nope, you can't, and you have to have the property owner's permission. And so we wouldn't give them permission to bait bear up there.
Yep.
So it came up when we looked at the policy that while the town farm was listed, it didn't say anything about hunting. So we've had to fall to the firearms discharge ordinance, which says that you cannot. So that's that piece.
Okay.
That's it.
John?
Go.
Go ahead.
Town farm is right in the middle of the PFAS,
Yes.
with the deer running around and eating there, and it's being recommended people not eat the meat. And I just think that it, we should put a sign up maybe that says, pass at your own risk. But then again, you look at section 4.
So as a municipality, you don't need to do that. On public land,
You
we're
don't?
automatically exempt from liability if anything happens to someone who chooses to go across public land.
Right.
Well,
We don't need to post that, unlike private property owners.
so, do we let them hunt? Do we let them, is that what the question is?
That's what the question is.
Do I
The
feel
question
like?
is that you have the town farm in this section that says, exists for the general use and benefit of the residents of Fairfield. Residents shall be authorized to enter the property at any time, and all lawful outdoor recreational activities shall be permitted. Well, okay, so that's what's in the existing document.
How old is it?
And I have no idea when that got in there. And then you go over to your ordinance, public safety ordinance, that says, well, you can't hunt on town property because you're not allowed to discharge a firearm on town property. So what we want to do is we just want to reference the public safety ordinance on the town farm piece that's in this policy. So you already have a policy that says you're not allowed to hunt on town-owned property. You already have that. But what we need to do is create a connection between the town farm and that ordinance so that it's consistent, or you need to say, well, no, we'll amend the public safety ordinance and allow hunting on the town farm. Because this says, all lawful outdoor recreational activities shall be permitted. If you have a hunting license, hunting on the town farm, as this is written, is allowed. But under the public safety policy, public safety ordinance, it's not. So we have to sync those two up.
My concern is with the future installation of public water, because that's where we're headed. What kind of an effect would that have on recreational use of the town farm? When we did the Dirigo engineering survey for the town farm for possible development prior to PFAS, just access to the town farm was difficult. You can't really see where the roads are that go out there. I can see maybe in the wintertime snowmobiles going out in and ATVs. I can see that going on. Personally, I would like not to have any hunting out there because there's residences in the surrounding areas. So that's my feeling. Anyways, I said my piece, John.
Okay.
So all the amendment is asking that it just says recreational activities shall be permitted in accordance with the Fairfield Public Safety Ordinance, Article 7, and state statutes.
Yeah, it needs to be moved together. It's
Yes,
just,
and we'll just reference that,
Yep.
so that when somebody looks at the policy, they know to go to the ordinance
Yeah.
and see where
Yep.
it's not allowed, is what that says.
Yeah.
and everybody's been told not to hunt out there anyway because the deer meat will kill them.
So those that have been eating it since the 80s that aren't dead
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah, I don't know why.
So, just so I understand, you folks like this proposed revision?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's getting, when I was a kid, there weren't any houses around out there, and you could hunt out there, but now
It populated.
it's
Yeah.
getting
A
more.
little dangerous.
A little
bit
more populated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, as for section 4, it's not, it needs to be edited. No person in a park shall,
Okay, well, that's the ordinance, that's not this policy.
Yeah, but that's an excerpt of the public safety ordinance, so you guys could have it to read.
Oh.
That's
It's
not
not
the
gonna, it's not gonna actually
Because I-
live in your council
Is
policy.
there a typo?
you don't need any gerunds there. It should be bathe, B-A-T-H-E.
Where?
No person in a park shall bathe, comma, swim, comma, hunt, comma, and discharge firearms. Period.
The next time this comes up, we'll get that fixed.
Right.
Let me make a note of that, because I wasn't even, that was not on my radar.
We weren't amending this ordinance, but we'll make,
No, it's not an amendment, it's editing.
but it doesn't matter. With an ordinance, you can't
You have to
even
have a-
edit the
oh.
words unless you do a public hearing and.
Oh, my word.
Oh, yeah.
You can't
The
just,
intent is still
You
there.
can't fix grammar?
no,
Unreal.
I can fix page numbers.
but that's about it.
See, that falls
Yeah,
on,
there's some people that'll say, you know, well, I mean,
According
you
to the
could maybe
Chicago
argue that
Manual
this
of
was too
Style.
simple, but,
All right.
okay.
okay.
So that's it in that. And then all of your fee schedule that goes along with
Right.
everything.
We go to Fairfield Personnel Policy.
Oh, no, you're not done, your fee
We're not done?
schedule, fee
we
schedule.
are.
Fee schedule. Fee schedule.
Oh, fee schedule.
Well,
Yeah.
For your fee schedule, I had to do a last minute change, the burn permit for the state
yeah.
fees, it used to be 7 and now it's 0. So I took that out, and then the other update was to the community center fees, adding that, the cleaning at the vendor's rate.
Yeah.
yep, looks good.
Okay.
That works.
Definitely a document that evolves.
Right.
Yes, it does, it's a
Yeah.
good document.
But we use it a lot. It's, you don't have to go hunting for where, is it in the policy? Is it in the ordinance? Is it in the procedures? Is it?
It's right there.
When I started, it was about 7 lines, and it has just grown in almost 10 years.
Which is good.
Yes.
Left hand knows what the right hand is doing.
Right.
That's why we're government.
Yeah. You know, when I got my, I always read the stuff online, and then I go and get my paperwork usually, and so when I got the town Fairfield Personnel Policy Manual, I thought, oh my word, it's so thick now. And I had these things in my mind that I was going to look for to make sure things were mentioned, and I jotted them down, and kudos. I checked them all off. Everything, I was looking at primarily social media usage.
We updated that, I think, when you came off the council.
Yeah, and it's all there. So kudos to you guys.
tried.
Nice job.
We try. So this document, really, what we'll do is we'll just update the council that signs off on the document.
Yeah.
But your change is on page 8, which the last time we did an update, we missed.
Right.
And it's just because of the way the charter language is.
Yep.
Yep.
And that's it. I think we realized that that was in there the second you add, like, the next day after you added the Juneteenth holiday and we amended the personnel policy, we were going through, I was like, oh, we didn't even fix this paragraph.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Juneteenth is in there.
It is.
What day is Juneteenth?
I believe it's the 20th this year that it's being observed by the state of Maine.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. Number 7, moving on. Discuss annual town report dedication and annual Spirit of America Award. Yeah, well, first off there, I want to just discuss it as the annual town report dedication. I feel personally that due to a loss of one of our best citizens of the town within the last few days, that I would like to dedicate the town annual report to Jeff Marshall, who's done a tremendous amount for the
So-
town of,
I'll add him to the list for your next meeting for consideration.
yes.
Yeah, and I'd also like to add Mark McFeeters for the annual town report, who passed away this winter,
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
this fall.
yeah,
It was not too long ago.
right, I was going to say it was.
Mark
relative-
McFeeters is already received.
That
Got
was
the Spirit of
He's-
America.
Oh,
Spirit
yeah,
of-
yeah,
yeah.
okay.
He's already got that,
Yeah.
he's already got an award, so.
But
not the
that was
dedication.
Not the dedication, that's.
yeah.
But I'd still prefer Jeff. But in Spirit of America,
To be determined.
I really like both people that have already been talked about, or the Victor Grange. They continue to evolve, and I think that it's good to recognize within the community when positive things are happening. And Tom Munson has been involved quite a bit with various committees throughout the town.
He's done quite a bit.
So I would go with either one of those. I couldn't think of anybody else.
So we'll be putting that on as an action item at your next meeting.
Yeah.
Someone can make a nomination, and then you guys can decide. I've added Jeffrey Marshall and Mark McFeeters to the dedication list for you.
Okay.
Any other additions?
What?
Any other additions for consideration for the next meeting? Are there any other names you'd like to put forward for this list?
If anybody thinks of anybody before the next meeting, whether it be a person or an organization, just let me know and we'll have it on for your conversation for next meeting.
okay. And discuss proclamation request.
Want me to start?
You may start.
I personally don't feel that this is necessary. They say it's not political. It is political, in my opinion. I went on the DOE, Department of Education website, to see if I could gather information about charter schools, all the other schools in this area. Just in our area, we have quite a few available places within about a 50 to 75 mile radius. We've universities, we've got UMF, UMO, UMA. We've got for colleges, Colby College, Thomas College, Phoenix, which is one of those online ones down in Augusta. We have Unity College, which is now, I think, online and in southern Maine. We have there are 10 charter schools in the whole state of Maine. We have the one in Hinckley. Forgive me, it's getting late. What's it called?
Means.
KBCC.
No, that's a college, but
Means.
charters means Maine,
Means,
Maine
yes,
and
Means,
natural
I'm sorry.
science,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah.
And of course, we've got our area elementary schools and high schools.
They have one over in Waterville.
And they're all on the website. And personally, I saw this, and I don't know if it's because I'm a former public school teacher. To me, if people want to know, we've got the media out there to help them. And I don't think we need
Right,
to
but-
recognize education, but
I don't
that's my
know.
opinion.
It's a different situation right now with what's going on within the schools and everything else, and a lot of these schools are playing, this stuff of sitting home, kids on their computers and not going to school and stuff. I think school choice at this point in time, unfortunately, I think is good to have.
So I would have two things. One, I'd like to hear from educators who are in the room, talk about that. And the other one is, this wasn't brought forward, at least from what I can tell, from a member of the town. And I guess I have an issue with, if we have a group from the town that wants us to do something like that, then that's one thing. But all I see is a letter from an organization, not a town, and I support this town. If somebody wants to come and talk to me about this, then that's one thing. Getting organizations from away, then I have issues with just supporting their plans.
And this is California, too.
Right, so I don't know if you have any input. I was like, we got people who are very involved in education.
Because you hear the term school choice, and it kind of has that feel for me that, to kind of take students away from their community schools and allow them to kind of shop around, maybe. And it just has a bad feel for me.
It does me, and the flip side of that is, when you look at the budget part of it, the public school is responsible for giving the best possible education for each child. If a child chooses to go to another school, they're still responsible for paying for that child. So our tax dollars go to send some kids to different schools, not in Fairfield. And I think that's anybody's prerogative. I don't have control over that. But I agree with Matt that it should be something that is involving Fairfield and for my approval. And this whole thing didn't settle with me. I went on their website, checked it out, and I was not convinced, number one, that it wasn't political, and they said in their letter it was. So my feeling is
Okay.
not to go with it.
Yes.
So this particular group, as you folks get your municipal email, we get a lot of spam, we get a lot of requests from national platforms to add content to our website.
Yep.
So I've actually blocked this group a number of times. They continue to reach out. If we do it for one, we have to do it for all, and it's not germane to the municipal purview. So the challenge is that if you set a precedence tonight by adopting this, then you open the door and you'd have to create a full-time position to manage the number of requests like this that we receive from national online platforms. So just food for thought. this is something I would have already deleted and blocked. And you're going to get a lot of spam with your town email. So just food for thought. As your website host.
And the person who receives
Choices
the,
in education. How did we ever make it in this world with a public education?
we're not done yet.
Yeah, and Michelle and I get all those info requests.
I don't know. I didn't have to worry about it. The nuns took care of it for me.
Oh.
Yeah, me too, part of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, no, I don't think this is something that we should get involved with,
Okay.
my opinion.
So we're getting a sense of,
Thank you.
Well, what's everybody else?
Thank you for the input. I have the same feelings. I mean,
No,
I'm
that's,
family of teachers, and I went on their website as well, and it's just like, again, if I had, I fully support school choice, but if I had come from an organization from Fairfield that wanted to promote school choice, well, let's have that conversation. I'm just not doing the bidding of somebody from California, I guess.
Well said.
okay. So we'll just let that one die. Not a problem. Okay, also, moving around, they're going to be replacing the bridge in Waterville, between Waterville and Winslow. And that's going to be replaced. There was three choices. This came out of meeting today, too. There's three choices. One is to make a one-lane traffic on the bridge to repair the bridge and then move the lane over on the other side so that there's a constant. The other choice is to just close everything off, rip the bridge down, put a new bridge up. If they do the one-lane problem, there is a problem there because that would take, I think, what they had said was 2 or 3 years longer to build that bridge than if they just tear that bridge down and put a new one up. The only thing I might suggest that if they do that, you might want to pick your time when you travel through Fairfield. Because rush hour could get a little bit tighter crossing over to Winslow.
so are they thinking that we're going to see a large volume of that bypass traffic? Because I would think that
Well, you're going to have, you only got
on the Carter Bridge.
you only got two. You got the Carter Bridge and this bridge, that's it.
Yeah, and I think you'll find most of it's going to hit.
Oh, there's one in Hinckley.
Yeah, I don't think they'll drive out there, though.
No. Less traffic.
I think you'll find most of it'll hit the Carter Bridge and not this one.
Well, the Carter Bridge would be for the people that live, more of Winslow, but you've got a lot of people that live over in the other areas on this side of Winslow that use that bridge every day. So anyway, just kind of a warning, because I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to probably close that off entirely, rip that bridge down, and put a new one up.
So will this be happening before or after the new traffic patterns come to fruition?
I have
It's
no
happening
idea.
all at the same time.
It's all at the
That's
same
awesome.
time.
Anybody want to
Yeah.
go into a towing business?
Yeah, it's all happening at the same time. Last I heard, it was all to go into effect at the same time.
Wow.
I'm
So-
thinking investment in a wrecker would be a really good idea.
Did they say the time frame for demolishing the
No.
old bridge and putting a new one in?
No, there was nothing there yet.
2 or 3 years less than it would take
I
to do.
don't know, did,
To do
I
it
don't even
piece
know
by
if their bond
piece.
funding
Yeah.
has gone through yet. For that, I don't know if their bond funding's gone through yet for that project.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know they're in the public hearing phase, but,
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Well, and I think if you went down and stood underneath that bridge and took a look at it, you might be reluctant to drive across it anymore.
what did I hear?
It's that bad. No, it's really bad underneath.
I heard that that's actually like 3 bridges? It's not,
3
Yeah.
spans, yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not 1, it was 3 done at,
Yeah.
some were replaced in different timeframes or something.
Yep. Anybody got anything else that they want to discuss or talk about? All right, and our next regular meeting of the Fairfield Town Council will be on Wednesday, January 26th, 2022, to be held as a hybrid meeting via Zoom in council chambers at 6:30 PM. At this time, we will recess and sign all documents that require the signature of council members.
Motion to go into recess?
Second.
We're in recess.
Yeah.